2 ditch lights, 1 fuse tap, and a factory aux switch that's already maxed out. And every workaround means more wire, more firewall penetration, and more permanent decisions on a truck that you just bought. So today that stops. This is how we fixed it. The Novsight toggle switch really consists of 2 main components. We have the switch control box and then the actual switch panel itself, which is wireless. That's the big advantage of purchasing this type of setup, is that I don't have to push any wires through the firewall to connect the actual switches to the control box. This is a mounting panel from Badland Industries, custom fit to the 3rd generation Canyons and Colorados. That makes the install easier as well. To connect the Badland switch panel, there's a couple of pins you need to remove. Specifically, there's one that goes here and one that goes over here. Connecting the Badland's switch plate involves sliding this over those 2 pin positions we just removed, and then connecting the lower section over this 1 factory bolt here. The locking nuts that were provided were really hard to get clamped down, so I opted instead for standard hex nuts with some locking washers to hold it in place. As you can see, I've since mounted the Novsight switch panel in place. This is pretty solid. So next up, I'm going to connect the power cables to the switch panel. Hindsight being 20/20, I think it would have been way easier if I did this prior to mounting everything. So there's both of the power wires connected in place. So next up, I'm going to tie it into the battery. One last thing we have to connect is trigger control line. Some particular fuse location that's only going to turn on when the vehicle turns on. Fuse slot 73 is a choice that's popular with many other users, so I'm going to give that a try. Adding a fuse tap is pretty simple. Pull the fuse from F73 and add it to the lower slot of the tap. Add another 5 amp fuse to the upper slot, then crimp in the trigger wire and install it back into F73. We have the positive, the negative connected, as well now as our fuse tap. The next thing I want to do is take off the cover. To pair the switch panel to the controller, there's a black button here, and once that's flashing, we can then hit the power button, and at this point, we should be paired up. The switch panel has 6 different locations. To start, I'm going to put this X series from Novsight into position 5, one of the 10 amp fuses. I want the DRLs to come on when I turn on the vehicle. So I run the amber wire and use another fuse tap off of F27. Let's see what we actually get. Everything's now wired up and functioning properly, but there's a few things that I'm not happy about in my install so far. Those large terminals not having any sort of protection wrapped around them. Right now I have a lot of excess cable bundled in there, and currently there's 2 different fuse taps running to different fuses in the box. I think I can combine those, so I'm going to give that a shot as well. Here's the end result. Over at the switch panel, those terminals I've wrapped with the Nashua self-sealing silicone tape. Keep that protected a little bit from water. I have tried my best to bundle up the wires neatly. I've shortened up the cablings, both here on the passenger side, and I've shortened the connection side over to the switch panel. The amber DRL along with the signal wire I've bundled up and run along the side here, both feeding into the same fuse tap. These only turn on when the engine's running. The last thing we need to do is mount the actual toggle switch wireless unit somewhere inside the truck. I have here the Bulletpoint RubyGrid. Currently I have an action camera mount and a MagSafe mount for holding my phone. I think I can screw the brace in or mount it to the actual RubyGrid and then have the switch controller mounted right above the screen. Let me do some disassembly and see if I can make all the pieces fit. After removing the RubyGrid and installing the Novsight mounting bracket to it, it mounts pretty securely here. We can see if I hit power. Honestly, the aesthetics of this is one of the factors that actually draws me to make the purchase in the first place. I think it fits in nice and it's a good position along the dash. Right now, I think this is the best I can do. One thing that we're giving up in this configuration, you really have a semi-permanent installation in place. So I don't have the capability to move it in and outside if I wanted to control lights outside of the vehicle. This setup scales my Canyon without firewall damage. That's always good for a truck under warranty. The build quality's top notch, looks right at home on my dash, and honestly, gives me more switches than I need right now. I have room left for a light bar, compressor, maybe a winch someday. Which would you add next? Let me know in the comments down below.